Wow, okay. We are live. We are live. Let's wait a few more minutes for one or two people to join in. Oh, I am super excited about this live session today. Super excited. And yeah, let's wait on more people to join in. I trust it's really going to be an exciting time. A time where we'll be sharing and we'll be learning and we'll be truly exciting. I know it will. So yes, let's just wait for one or more people to join in and then we can start off. I can see that people are joining in. Thank you for joining in. Thank you. Welcome on board. Welcome on board, everyone. Welcome on board. I am super excited to have every one of us. I know that as we continue, many will join in, but let's just give at least 3 more minutes for people to join in, and then we can start. We can start. Many people have been asking, let me just use this privilege to start gisting us about mental health with Asha. Like I said in our first episode, which was centered around trauma and trauma responses, I explained to us how this platform is a safe space, is a place where we will be sharing stories of triumphs, tips, nuggets on how to navigate different mental issues, mental disorders, and yes, we will also be having guests present on today's segment. And I am super excited because it's really going to be exciting. Really going to be exciting. I'll read out our mission statement once again for Mental Health with Asha. Our mission is to create a safe and a welcoming community for individuals struggling with mental health issues. We share tips that can help one navigate, as well as personal stories of triumphs and resilience. We are welcoming everybody to join in on this journey to healing and self-awareness because, yes, in the journey of mental health, it is almost impossible for you to even identify that there is an issue if you're not even aware of who you are and the fact that, okay, this isn't normal or this isn't the usual when it concerns or as it concerns my mental health, So yes, I am welcoming us all to join in, on this journey to healing and self-awareness. I would always say that you are not alone. Yes, you are not alone. Sorry about that, my pen fell down. You are not alone in this journey. You don't have to keep quiet or feel stigmatized about not being understood. I advocate strongly for individuals going through certain mental disorders or having to experience things that they really and truly cannot explain to probably family or friends, and it's a lot of struggle for them within. I always encourage that your uniqueness needs to be understood and you can get help. Keeping quiet about it is not the best solution. And, especially for depressive disorders, it puts you in that place where you feel you would not be understood by anybody. And so it's best you keep quiet. And to that, I am saying that keeping quiet is not the solution. I would always keep advocating for seeking help, and Mental Health with Asha is providing that platform in the events that you wouldn't know who to ask for that help. You can also send us an email at mentalhealthwithasha@gmail.com. mentalhealthwithasha@gmail.com, mentalhealthwithasha@gmail.com. That's the email. Or you can reach out to us on our social media handles, Facebook, Instagram at Mental Health with Asha. We're also on TikTok at Mental Health with Asha. So yeah, do us a favor. Also, invite people to like and follow so that, they can be a part of this journey to self-awareness and to healing. Also, I want us to know that one thing we do is, by all of the awareness we're creating, is breaking the stigma around mental health. Because the truth is, when the topic of mental health is raised, many people throw out the fact that, oh, I know it. Somewhat, they even act as professionals. They throw it out as if they know, they understand. And so to speak, even some people, some counselors, there is knowledge, but it's not sufficient enough to be able to provide the support needed. So, we're also creating a platform where people can learn it and people can know how best to support individuals, family members, friends. And in that, we're creating a safe environment for ourselves and for people out there, to be able to thrive despite all of the things that are happening around the world. So yes, I once again welcome all of us, to this segment of and second episode of our Facebook live stream. So yes, let's join hands together to dismantle, the stigma around mental health. Together, we're going to do this. It's not just the job of one person. Together, as parents, as spouses, as siblings, as friends, as colleagues, together we can break the stigma around mental health and mental disorders. So yes, let's keep being kind to ourselves and keep being kind to people around us. So yes, thank you for as many that have been joining. I would appreciate as many that are present. If you can just share the link on your Facebook as well, just so that many can join in and see and hear and learn and be a part of this life transforming program. And yes, today's section, we're going to be hammering on the topic navigating difficulties. The truth is, we must understand that this topic is crucial, is essential for every single one of us, because the truth is, until we die, until the day we are no more, we always will have challenges, we always will have difficulties. And equipping ourselves with the right tools and resources that will help us navigate through is the only way we will not be stressed and burnt out, probably by the wayside and not being able or strong enough to continue the journey. So yes, my name is Patience Beautiful Asha. Once again, I am a mental health advocate. I have a solid background in counseling. I have experiences with diverse communities, including PLHIV, that's people living with HIV, survivors of gender-based violence, ladies or girls that have been trafficked, as well as individuals who have relapses from substance abuse. So yes, I just go beyond counseling as well to share tips, mental health tips, and tips that could help us, navigate through difficult situations on my social media platforms, which is Mental Health with Asha on Facebook, like I said, on Instagram, as well as TikTok. Yes, so do well to follow us. What we're doing is dismantling stigma, and we're fostering awareness and promoting a culture of people being able to seek help when they're experiencing one or more things. So yes, I welcome us all once again to this segment of Mental Health with Asha, and once again on this section, it is navigating difficulties. Moving forward, I would love to welcome my co-host, which is Mr. Abubakar, and he'll be joining in to, anchor with me on this beautiful session. He was on our first session as well as many that were present in our first session. So yes, and he's also going to be a co-host as well on today's session. So yes, shortly Mr. Abubakar will be joining us on this section. Yes, 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 yes. I'll leave all the introduction for him to do. Yes, so he will come in to do all of the necessary introductions about himself. And yes. Welcome, welcome. I can see Amarachi Ike. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much. I'll appreciate once again if we can share the link on our Facebook profiles so that as many that are associated to us can also be a part of this beautiful program and beautiful episode where we'll be discussing navigating difficulties. So I'll really, really appreciate if we can share the link to as many as we can. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for joining. So quickly, I'll be doing a quick recap on what we did last session, quickly, while we're also still using the opportunity to wait for as many that will still be joining before we move in straight, because today we'll be having guests and I'll be introducing them shortly. Then we'll also be having one of our guests speak with us. So yes. Thank you for joining, as many that are still joining. Thank you so much. So as many that were present during our last episode, who can tell us a bit in the comment section what we talked about trauma responses? I would really appreciate you just make it really interactive. We talked on trauma and trauma responses. We talked about understanding trauma and how it affects individuals. We also talked about the cultural considerations in the social context. We also talk about PTSD, childhood trauma. So yes, I am looking forward to seeing some of the comments come up as to things that we all picked up during the session. Okay. No one is saying anything. So we talked about how trauma can be stored up in the body, and trauma is also our body's way of saying this experience, this thing that happened to me is real, is valid. Trauma is a distressing event that happens to somebody. Oh yes, I can see that Mr. Abubakar is here. Hello, welcome, Mr. Abubakar. It's nice to have
Hi,
you.
hi, Peter. How are you doing today?
Fine, thank you. And it's nice to have you once again on our session, like we did the last
Al-
time.
Always an exciting time to be here. I've been listening to what you've shared so far. Also recapping on what we are able to, do and talk about the last time. I'm really excited for
Another session,
today.
another episode. Yes,
Yes, I'm very
throwing,
excited for today's session.
yes, I was throwing it out to those that are currently like on the live session with us on a quick recap talking about trauma, trauma responses, how trauma can be stored in our bodies, PTSD, complex PTSD as well. So I don't know if you would love to just give us a quick recap, just quick 1, 2, 3 points from our last session. Will that be fine?
Yeah, that's fine. What we did the last time was to really break down what trauma is, narrow down the conversation to how we see it and how it affects us on our daily
True.
lives. We also talked about what are the signs that we see that points out that we've experienced something that is traumatic. We also talked about what can we do, to help us out.
Exactly.
We went through the path to healing when we've had a trauma. What do we need to do as it relates to, little baby steps that we can take? We talked about exercising. We talked about physical well-being as an important component. We also
Exactly.
talked about diet. A couple of things were raised, and I must say it was a really fruitful session we had the other day. And I'm looking forward to as much learning points that can come from this. I'm also looking forward to what we can also share with our audience and our community today as well.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, just before we go forward, I'll just love you to give a quick introduction about who you are, and so people can be aware. Once again, I have done mine, so yes, it wouldn't be a bad idea if you could just give us a quick introduction once again of who you are. Thank you.
Thank you, Patience, for the opportunity to be on this platform. My name is Abubakar Abdullahi, currently a program manager on a program called Mind Yourself, which is implemented in University of Abuja and University of Lagos. Mind
Okay.
Yourself is a mental health program that looks to really equip Nigerian youth on four things. Firstly, it's mental health awareness. The
Okay.
awareness around what we're talking about and how this thing affects our lives is not as amplified as it should. And platforms like what we have, the programs that we are also implementing, is hoping to bridge that gap of
Yeah.
information sharing, information gathering, data
Yeah.
gathering as well. So the first is mental health awareness. We also are also delving into the area of stigma. We talked about how people around us, even ourselves, our family members, our friends, who have suffered some traumatic experience or mental health issues, and there's stigmatization, around
True.
people like that. The program is also
True.
hoping to shed
This.
a light around stigmatization and really say, hey, everyone has a mental health. What you do around your mental health is what keeps you going. How are you able to regulate? How are you able to stabilize yourself? So
True.
we're also looking to, equip Nigerian youth with that. The third aspect is life skills. We'll talk about hardship. We're also going to talk about that in session today. We're
Yes.
navigating difficult times, right? What do you
Yes.
do? What life skills do you need to be able to thrive? What life skills do you need to be able to be productive in a community? And then lastly, self-care. Self-care is important. In everything you do,
True.
you need to be able to take care of yourself. They say if you don't have love for yourself, you really cannot even give love out there. So I think the first point of call is one to be able to really take care of him or herself. Aside that, I'm also into yoga training. I'm also a basketball enthusiast. I'm a physical well-being enthusiast. Mindful movement is key. It's an integral part to life. And anything that gives us an opportunity to connect our minds and our bodies together, trust me, you find a worker out there in that space. So I think, in a nutshell, that would be a brief description of myself. Lastly, I'm also really excited in what you're doing, and I'm hoping at some point in time I'd also be able to get some deeper knowledge around, guidance and counseling, mental well-being. So I know if I'm ready, I know what to look out to. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Abubakar. I really appreciate you. And yes, just shortly before he came up, I stressed out that, with mental health, with Asha, we are dismantling all that concern. the stigma around. That's what this platform, Mental Health Asha, is meant to do, to create room for, or while we're on the journey to self-awareness, it creates that platform, equipping us with tools that could broaden our spectrum as to the things that we can know about ourselves, what we have, as to why also certain boundaries that we've set around us are not strong enough to be able to keep us away from the things that we're setting those boundaries for. So yes, we talked about, you also mentioned how, the cultural and social mindset, I would say, as to when we're talking about mental health in Nigeria and in Africa, also can be a thing as to why many people are reserved and not willing to open up, as or to topics like mental health. So yes, we're trying to create more awareness and to break the stigma around that. So just that people can open up, people can seek help, people can know that mental health is important. And to that, I'll start by saying that mental health is everything about how you think, how you feel, and how you act. Because the truth is, what you think in your heart would eventually affect your mood, how you act, how you relate to your interpersonal relationship with people, how welcoming you are. And generally, you find that begins to affect even your health and your relationships with people, your social life. If you probably are somebody like you who is enthusiastic about exercising with a very low energy, sometimes you find out that you probably just don't feel like going out today, and then gradually for some it even moves from just the stage of having low energies to feeling hopeless, sad, and depressive disorders. So yes, we're just here to also see to it that we create that awareness just so that we can help many. So I'll be going straight up into the introduction of what we have today, which is navigating difficulties. And I have a beautiful piece written out that I'd love to share. And I wrote it from the depths of my heart because I believe that it will and it can resonate with a lot of things that people are going through in this season and in this period. So yes, as we approach the end of the year, it is only natural to reflect on the journey thus far, acknowledging the triumphs we've made, acknowledging the challenges we encountered, acknowledging the unmet expectations, the unmet needs, wants, the regrets also that we've had. So yes, while we are coming to the close of the year, it is normal for some people to experience some of the unmet expectations, the regrets, probably the way someone treated you, and then you're still holding on to it. You have triumphs to be grateful for. You have also challenges to look back and tell yourself, wow, girl, you did this, So yes, we also, I would love to be sharing one quote in that regard. It is a quote I coined, from few of the experiences I have had in counseling. And I would love to start off today on that note. It says that embrace the power of seeking help because your uniqueness deserves understanding. And the myth of isolation only prolongs your suffering. So this is really self-explanatory. I mean, yes, the day I was writing this down, it came from a place where I knew that many people, when it comes to, it's not only maybe about you as a person. Sometimes it's about your spouse, sometimes it's about your sibling, sometimes it's about your job, maybe a colleague, or probably you're even a teacher. It's about a student in school. Sometimes it's about your neighbor's child. When we're talking about mental health, sometimes the knowledge is not only applicable to us to be able to see that we can regulate at moments where we feel dysregulated. The truth is, thank you. I see Amadi Shuaib. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for joining. So yes, at different points in time, you find out that, like I was saying, people are not bold enough to come and seek help. And some of the factors that are responsible for people not wanting to come out to seek help is the stigmatization. I was at a conference, with my mentor. And while she was speaking, questions were asked, and then one of the questions was directed to one of the panelists, of which she was on the panel. And then the question was about depression, and these were secondary school children. And the response was really funny for me, because I expected better, so to speak. So one of the panelists that was asked the question about depression said, at your age as secondary school student, why are you depressed? What is depressing you? So yes, those are the kind of things that I also said that during our last session, when I was told that, by or diagnosed, let me use the word, with severe depression as of last 2 years. For me, it was a lot, because as of the times before I could see a therapist, that I knew that I was not okay, when I would share with my friends, they'll be like, now lay you in Nigeria. The thing around it was they just felt I was not doing enough. That are we not all experiencing the same heat from the government, from the economic status, and all of that? But I must say the truth is, even when you put two people, right, in a particular space, giving them equal treatment, so to speak, maybe you're giving them equal portion of food, there are chances that they would react differently. And there are certain reasons to this. Their upbringing, their belief systems, the culture that they have grown with, the environment they grew, all these things are factors that in a way affect directly and indirectly the decisions we make, the choices we make, and how we live our lives. So it's very important that we understand. And that's why you can be in a house, and then if you're a mother or you're a father, and then you have 3 kids, you are doing your best to see that you balance up the love, all the affection, and then still you find out that there's still one of your child that is, why is this child not really responding to, the love and the affection I'm showing? What's the problem? What could be the reason, behind this way? And then I was listening to a psychologist one day, and he mentioned something. He said, sometimes we claim to say that we are treating our children equal, or we're giving them equal rights and benefits, but that is not true. When he said that, I was startled, and I was curious to know why. He said, the truth is, sometimes when we do certain things to this one, directly or indirectly, it has a way it tells on the other. It's either for some reason, maybe this one did not pass, let me just say, and this one passes his exam. Some parents even outrightly come out to throw it out on the other kid, and they can and start the comparison. So, and later you hear that they go up and say, I'm doing the best, I'm giving them the same equal this, that, but why is this one acting this way? Why is this one acting that way? These are factors that could come in and play into a child's head while a child is growing up, and can affect the child in different ways. You understand? And so what we're also doing is, like I said, it's creating an environment where both parents, spouses, individuals, for yourself, for your loved ones, can be equipped with knowledge as it concerns mental health, to be able to provide support to individuals and to ourselves in the event that we are faced with a mental disorder, or we are having low energies, or we're just beginning to notice something that is unusual about our mental health, and also equipping us with things that we can do that can improve. But above all, like I said, just around the quotes, isolating yourself is just a myth. People say just isolate yourself. I think I was having a conversation, I think it was with you, Abubakar, if you can remember. I was saying that it was around love, I think, where I said that some people would say when you have a heartbreak, it works. I'm not debunking that ideology or school of thought, but I'm saying that someone came up to also say that when you have a heartbreak, for some people, the healing, or the healing comes with opening their hearts to love again. And it's not with take out time, like everybody would say, to, heal and be better for the next person. For some people, the healing comes with accepting the next person. So all of these things are not really cast in stone when it comes to mental health. And one shoe is not a one shoe fits all or one size fits all thing when it comes to mental health, or one approach is what will work for everybody. And that's why, in understanding our uniqueness, in understanding that whatever it is we're going through is unique and deserves understanding, should help and encourage us to seek help and to speak up. And like I said, I'll still mention it in the event that there is you are beginning to notice something about yourself, your friend, your family member. And depression is not an age thing, or mental disorders are not age bound to say that it's only youth or adults. No, children have fallen into depression as early as even 9, 7. Adults, older individuals as old as 70 upwards have experienced mental illnesses, and this is true. So mental illnesses and mental disorders is not an age thing, it's not tied to a certain age or group of people, so to speak. So in that, I'm saying that as much as we can, let's throw out kindness there. So yes, moving forward, if you have any question, I would love that you drop that question in the comment section. I can see Bilat is here. Thank you, Bilat, for joining. So in the event that you have any question while the session is going on, please feel free to drop it in the comment section and we'll attend to it. Yes. And so, yes, going forward, I will be introducing to us the guest that we'll be having on the show before I would welcome the first speaker. So the first person or one of our speakers will be Dr. Comfort Ayua. She's a seasoned medical professional with 5 years experience and expertise, both in clinical and public health domains. She is someone who is passionate about promoting holistic well-being and providing valuable insights in living healthy. To add, beyond just having a very wonderful personality, very welcoming personality, Dr. Comfort is one who provides support professionally, and I will say that she knows her onions. She knows her onions. So yes, stay tuned because she will be speaking with us as it concerns navigating difficulties relating it to mental health and giving us a medical and you get me, the perspective. So also we're going to be having Manasseh Dogon. He's the lead steward of the Metropolitan Church, a movement and a ministry commissioned with the vision of raising people to infiltrate government and then also command influence. It is headquartered in Abuja, Nigeria. He's also the CEO of MAME and Got CT, a brand management technology, virtual coaching, marketing, AI company. He is a master in marketing with over 14 years of experience. He has consulted for numerous prestigious organizations, CEOs, MDs, diplomats, corporate executives, innovators, and has over 100,000 people in intelligent dialogue, seminars, conferences, business conversations, as well as mentorship programs in organizations, urban metropolis, university campuses around the world. So, and thirdly is also Mr. Abubakar, who we have here on our live session with. So, as the session goes on, we will have these people come in at intervals to share with us on or around the topic navigating difficulties. So I'll move forward to giving us a brief before I call on Dr. Comfort to join in and share with us, certain tips as it concerns navigating difficulties. In recent times, the world has been struggling with a series of challenges, from economic crises, the war in Gaza, the war in Ukraine. We have pandemics in 2020, and the pandemic hit the world. It didn't just hit a region, it hit the world. It hit the world. And we will be honest to ourselves to say that these things have contributed in one way or the other to the difficulties that we're experiencing, because with the wars, we started having or experiencing here in Nigeria issues as it concerns fuel, things just started, the economy started shaking because some of the countries that serve as what's the word? Um, so like as a bridge, so to speak, are now fighting, and then things are not moving. So yes, challenges ranging from global pandemics, profound shifts in our daily routines. For some people, for some reason, you lost your job and then you have to be staying at home all day. That change in routine alone, I think I had a session, or I have somebody I've been working with, and then for him, the experience has been around the fact that just not only concerning his health challenge, the fact that there is no job because of he's a graduate, came out with very, very beautiful grades in school, and then there is no job. That alone has been frustrating his life, put him into a lot of depressive moods, and that in itself has even graduated to even having suicidal attempts and thoughts. So yes, we're saying that ranging from global attempts to profound shifts in our daily routines to the economic instability, political unrest, and social upheaval and various natural disasters that have been happening around the world. Concurrently, individuals face personal hardship. It could be family issues, it could be issues with your job, issues with your spouse, it could even be an internal stuff that you are experiencing as a person, and that could be unemployment, it could be a divorce, there's so many things people are experiencing, and that is why sometimes you hear that people say, be kind, because you have no idea what the other person, like as Mr. Abu is at the other side of, this live session. I have no idea what the challenges he is going through. I have no idea what his struggles look like. I have no idea probably if there is even probably a mental stuff he's having to go through. And except we speak up, like I set the tone from the beginning, he can't get help. I was giving a very beautiful example. Someone said that when someone is swimming and the person probably is drowning, if the person just puts his hand down and just go down, 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 nobody will realize that something is wrong. But in that struggle, trying to find your way and call for help, people see that, oh, there's something that is wrong there, and probably we should extend help to that person. So sometimes it's in calling out for help that there will be a rescue for you. So I'm encouraging once again for us to speak up. This period marks an unprecedented struggle for many, where global emergencies and personal tragedies intersect, impacting our mood, our mental health, and our overall perspective about life. So whether you are facing the world widespread crisis or individual adversities, navigating these tough times are what we are trying to see that we equip us with the necessary tools. Yes, so I think Mr. Abu will take it up from here for us on, certain perspectives to difficulties. Yes.
Um, navigating difficulties, navigating difficult times. Life in itself has never been a bed of roses. Life itself would continually throw challenges to us. How do we equip ourselves? How do we interpret these situations? What do we think we should do to see the positives out of challenges that we find ourselves? How do we build a mentality? How do we build a mindset that sees differently from just problems, but looking at problems as
As an
opportunity for growth, as an opportunity for development? So difficult times often, if you have the right mindset, gives you an opening or a door to personal growth. You are able to see problems differently, seek solutions, seek ideas that would be problem solving ideas, rather than just looking at it and saying, it's something that's happened to me and I'm just taking it that way. So at difficult times, if you're able to really calm down, build the capacity, you're able to open doors for personal growth. At difficult times, at also navigating difficult moments, it's also a revealer of who you are, your values, your strengths, your weaknesses, what boundaries needs to be in place, what boundaries are in place that are not healthy, what are the capacities that you have. So we'll take them one on one, one at a time. At difficult times, it really reveals what value systems you really hold on, what value systems you really cherish, what value systems do you even put into your everyday life. There are several values that difficulties also tend to kind of hide underneath. We talk about empathy. Every day we interact with people. You are just talking about people speaking up. In showing empathy, you need to be able to understand, you need to be able to
True.
appreciate, you need to be able to respect what people are going through. Difficult times
Without
also push you. Go ahead.
No, I said without judgment. Without judgment.
Without judgment. Difficult times also shows us our strength. We talk about resilience. You know, just last month, if I'm correct, was Men's Mental Health Month. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
November was Men's Mental Health Month. And there's a general belief that men are built strong, men shouldn't break, men shouldn't speak, you
Yeah.
know. But
They should mind.
in speaking out as a man is also a show of strength. In
True.
letting tears drop your eyes every now and
Absolutely.
then when you feel emotions is also a show of strength. You
It
know,
is.
telling your fellow brother and a man, I love you, expressing that emotion is also a show of strength.
Yes, it is.
In understanding what strength is, I think we need to really debunk some of the myth, some of the
Idea.
stereotypes, yeah, the
Yes.
stereotypes, the ideologies, the conversations that we look at as a definition of strength. It's not necessarily power. It's speaking up, it's acknowledging emotions, it's seeking help. That is strength. So in difficult times, we're also able to really see how strong we are in how we are able to navigate these periods. And it also shows our weaknesses, right? Because in difficult times, you also are able to see, truly, truly, I really cannot do this. I really need more information. I really need more knowledge. I really need more education. I really need people around me, to be able to go through this. And then in difficult times, you also need to set boundaries. Not every friendship, not every union is a healthy one for you. And,
I agree.
sometimes letting go, saying bye-bye to things is fine. Starting new relationships as well. You know, ending existing relationships that are not healthy. So build boundaries that will not be of benefits to you. And it also shows us our capacity. One thing about the human mind and the human body is we are unlimitless. We're limitless. And what I mean by that is the conception of our minds, is what we are able to see for ourselves. A whole lot of things that happen all happens in your mind, and if you are able to build that capacity of your mind to see limitless ideas or limitless extent to ideas that you have, trust me, you are able to do really tremendous stuff. Difficult times also help us build our emotional resilience and intelligence. Emotional intelligence is a key factor in growth, is a key factor in human interaction, is a key factor in how you're able to, interact with difficult times and difficult situations. So difficult times give us an opportunity to really expand our emotional intelligence and our emotional resilience. It's important that we build our emotional intelligence. How you react, how you even interpret a situation is key. There's a
True.
saying that understanding the problem is already half the solution. Emotional intelligence is a key factor in how we're able to digest and break down situations for us to see. And generally, it just makes you tough. Tough people always would last. They said, Robert Scholler said something. He said, tough times never last, but tough people do last. So out of these four things I'm saying, these are practical things that we can put into our lives every day. As Patience has spoken about how things have been tough. In the past few years, or past year in Nigeria, we're in December, we've had elections, we've had hike in fuel price. We've had a global inflation. Nigeria is suffering inflation. We've had changes, so numerous to mention. How are we able to really put this into separate compartments and deal with them? We have our personal lives we live. We have our relationships with ourselves, with our friends, with our family, with our spouses, with our siblings. How do we also put that in compartments? We also have official professional spaces that we interact with. How do we put this in compartment? I think it's important for us to be able to navigate these difficult times. We have to learn and get an ability to put things into different compartments and let them be there so that we're able to see things clearly, build our value system, build boundaries, build our capacity. Also learn to improve our emotional intelligence and emotional resilience. And trust me, tough times will come, but tough people would always will last. Thank you, Patience.
Thank you,
Back to you.
thank you so much for that. Those were beautiful stuffs you shared. You talked about perspectives to difficulties, how we see life, or from the lens that we see life, is how we would interpret life. So if we're having to face difficulties, be it a divorce, you just lost your job, be it, you're having health issues, be it that one of your child is giving you a lot of problems at the moment, whatever the difficulty might be for you, you're grieving a loved one that you just lost, or an opportunity you missed, or you are currently on a project that is stressing the life out of you. Whatever the difficulty at the moment is for you, we're saying that the perspective or the lens to which you see those difficulties are important, because number one, if you're seeing it from it's a problem, it will be a problem. If you're seeing it as an opportunity, it will be an opportunity for growth. It will be an opportunity for expansion. It will be an opportunity for networking. It will be an opportunity to test how much grit you have. In the Bible, I would just say this. It says that in the days of adversity, you know how little your strength is. I'm just paraphrasing, what that scripture said. But in the days of adversity, it is when you will actually know to what extent, or to what yes, to what extent you've actually accumulated strength enough to be able to push when the difficulty comes. That's to say that you don't prepare for battle on the day of battle. So it means that in navigating difficulties, we must have a plan. You must have a plan for yourself, that when times get difficult, and that is why, for example, people have savings. You have savings for what purpose? You have savings for the purpose that when things are not easy, you can be able to pick up the money that you put in your save box, or in that account that you have locked, just so that you don't touch it. And then probably there's a rent issue, or there's a health challenge, and then you're not all going out to people, and people are saying they don't have money to give you. The savings become handy. That is also a strategy, a plan, for a difficult time. So to be able to navigate difficulties, I must say that you must have a plan. You must have a plan. And having a plan is what will make you see that difficulty from a different perspective. Either seeing it as an avenue for growth, seeing it as an avenue for self-awareness, seeing it as an avenue for self-development. And when I mean awareness, like Mr. Abubakar shared, it's an opportunity to know what values have I been upholding. It's an opportunity to know what are my strengths. It's an opportunity to know what are my weaknesses. It's an opportunity to know what is my capacity. For example, if you're working out, you are big on exercises, and you are doing 20 push-ups. It's an opportunity for you to know that usually my strength is on 20, and then that's it. But I am choosing today to want to stretch to 25. So it's actually you sharing, or you getting to know yourself better, and you getting to build more capacity as well while you are going through that. It's also an opportunity for you to build emotional intelligence and resilience, because the truth is, without emotional intelligence, it might be almost impossible to keep relationships, especially at moments where mentally you're not in a good space. So yes, shortly I would be inviting Dr. Comfort to join in on on this show to share with us, you know, a lot as it connects to navigating difficulties. So yes, Dr. Comfort will be joining in shortly, and she will be sharing with us some perspective as it connects to navigating difficulties. So yes, um, while we await her, yes, Dr. Comfort is here with us. Welcome, Comfort. It's a beautiful privilege to have you here. Um, Despite your very busy schedule, I must say I am grateful for the opportunity um, that you are giving us to be able to get knowledge and value from all of your experiences. And yes, I'm saying welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here. I've been listening and following through, and I must say that you guys are really hitting the issues on points. I'm not sure I have so much more to say because you guys are doing a great job.
Oh, no, definitely, we are not medical
Things most of the additional things are rather, I would say, technical things that I may not be able to say a lot online, right? But I'll kind of give a clinical perspective to the issues that we are discussing this morning. But I commend both of you. I am really enjoying the session and I'm actually happy to be here. I've known patients very well and I am impressed. This is nice. So well done, you guys. Abubakar, you guys are speaking facts and yeah, I'm happy.
so
Talking about the topic for today, navigating difficulties. For us as Africans and Nigerians, even more so, when we're talking about mental health and mental disorders, there are also issues that are not really talked about or discussed openly or things that are seen as normal. But what I want to say is that just like we have our physical health that we can visibly see and know that, okay, when we are weak or when we are sick or when we are stressed, then the body breaks down. Also, we have our mental health. And I'd like to give this definition that kind of sums it all by the World Health Organization. They said that complete health is actually a state of physical, mental, social, financial well-being and not merely the absence of disease. So even when we're looking at the physical aspect, the fact that someone might be going to work, they might be eating, doesn't necessarily mean that, okay, they don't have any disease condition per se, but it doesn't mean that they're completely well. And when we look at our mental health, there are actually a lot of people that do not have a diagnosis of a mental health condition, but you cannot say that mental health is optimal. So it's something that first we have to even be aware of that, okay, I have a mental health and I need to take care of my mental health. If not, I can actually break down. And what is worse with mental health is not something that you can really see. So you cannot really quantify, oh, my mental health, I'm going down. It actually shows in how we react to things. Someone that might have been happy and you know the person as a joyous person can just start acting irrational or be very irritable or can become very quiet. So it takes people really close to them and are really very conscious of their characters to be able to pick out that, okay, are you really okay? Is something going on? Because sometimes the individual themselves are so pressured with a lot of things that they don't even know that they're actually acting that way. So I would say that one of the key things that we're talking about is being aware. Want to navigate the difficulties of mental health, you have to first know yourself, know what are the things that can affect you, know what are the things that can trigger you. Because if you do not even know, if you're not informed, then first you cannot identify that there's a problem. If you don't identify that there's a problem, how can you even address it? And you might be moving around with other people discussing and be like, thank God I don't have a mental health problem. Whereas you actually are dealing with some mental health issues, but because you're not even aware of it, then you cannot even address it. And then you'll be having unnecessary um, stressors, and then you'll be breaking down. Because one thing with physical health is what is easily manifested. Mental health, if your mental health is affected, it can also present itself in a physical way, and then you can break down. So sometimes you'll be like, oh, I mean, I've been eating well, I've been exercising, I've been I'm trying my best to keep myself physically fit, but then you see yourself breaking down, and you not know that okay, it's actually your emotional part. Because like we are saying, the mental health is not just about how your mind thinks, it's also how you feel. And all of these things motivate or influence how we react and how we go about our day-to-day life. So the first thing, the primary thing I would say, is about understanding yourself, being informed. And I like this platform for that, creating the awareness, knowing okay, what is it about mental health? And it's not just knowing that okay, there are mental health issues. It's about self introspection. What about me? Who am I? What are the things that I feel like it actually stress me or trigger me? What makes me unhappy? What makes me sad? What makes me to actually think I'm like, oh, I don't feel like talking to people today, or oh, I don't feel like doing this, or oh, I'm just angry or upset. Why am I easily triggered? What are those things that affects me in a way that I do not act according to what is for me on a normal day, or what will make me happy? So if we can identify these things, if we can identify those patterns, knowing ourselves, then we can now try to start to actually deal with these issues. And like these things, dealing with these issues are actually simple. They are basic things that we need to do. And that's why I'm saying that you guys are on point. If you know what are your triggers, then you try to avoid them. If you know that, okay, smoking for you is a very bad thing and you don't want to have your health tampered, your lungs affected, then you would not smoke. So if you know that, okay, if I am triggered by certain things, or if people talk about a certain area, because mental disorders are a wide spectrum, from something as minimum as anxiety, then something as serious as schizophrenia. Just putting it on a scale, there are different issues in between all of these things. So for one person, something might be a trigger, might be something that, oh, you said that my my childhood experience is irrelevant to what I'm feeling today. And then that person is easily triggered, and then they become angry and they can act out in a way that you'll be like, ah, where is this behavior coming from? Who is this person? So if you know that okay, certain things can trigger you, and then you know that okay, some people bring out the worst side of you, then you know that okay, you need to put boundaries. You need to avoid this kind of situation. You need to avoid this kind of people, or you avoid conversations that will trigger you and lead you into something that you would not like to be. Because these things can be managed, and these things can actually be treated. There are some conditions that are more severe, that you have to be placed on medications for a long period of time, and there are others that if you do just your physical, or you do your counseling, or you just take care of yourself, self-care, and then you'll be better. So understanding at what level am I on this spectrum, because everybody has mental health, that Abubakar rightly said. But okay, what is affecting my mental health, and to what extent is my mental health being affected? So when we're talking about mental health disorders, beyond the normal stressors that everybody faces on every day, and it affects them, and you can just be tired or not be in the mood, there are conditions that actually diagnose and say okay, you have this medical condition that is affecting your health and you need to take it serious. And there are different ones. You can have anxiety disorders, you can have mood disorders themselves, serious mood disorders, and you can have depressive disorders, you can have
So that's
bipolar disorders.
what I would love to ask the questions, because in most of my studies, I was able to also find out that, you know, some of these mental disorders could be genetically transferred from parents as well to children. And then you find out that maybe, you know, maybe for example, the parents have been having depressive disorders, and then it also passes down to the children. I would love, you know, you help us shed more light on that, because many people do not understand that these things probably were not just developed or as a result of certain environmental factors as well. You know, some of these things also, some of these mental disorders, so to speak, are also genetic. I would just love you to help us shed more light on that.
That's a lot of mental disorders that are genetic. And one thing I like to say, in health generally, there's the concept of nature and nurture. So when we're talking about nature, we're talking about the genetic aspect to it. We're talking about the familiar nature of the disease, whereby some traits are being passed from parents to children. And then when we're looking at the nurture aspect of it, we're looking at your environmental factors, because two individuals can have genetic traits, but one individual and in the other it is express. And this is in terms of, okay, what environmental factors has potentiated this effect. Whereas there are others that are full-blown genetic. It doesn't really matter your environment or the other social factors that affect it. It's going to manifest in certain stage. There are some mental health disorders that occur at the earlier stages in life. It's when you become more into a teenager, or when you're becoming an adult, because at that point you have more stressors, more triggers, and then it will just be like, oh, this thing is coming from out of the blue. Or whereas it has been there inherent, but
It
with
has been
time,
there since,
so
but it didn't come out at that time.
exactly. I have had um let me say some patients that I've been able to encounter, and when you try to see from it, you would say that, okay, oh, there was some member of the family, maybe not their immediate family of their parents themselves, but they have a cousin or an uncle who had similar condition, and at the age where the person developed it is also the age when this individual is actually developing it. So some things at times they are there inherently. But because, with mental health, we are saying we can't like really quantify, we can't just pick it up and say, oh, this is it. So it really goes unmarked for a long time. And then when there are certain triggers, sometimes people go through a severe experience. Either they lost a family member, or they went through some psychological trauma, they were abused, and it is from that moment onward that it just blows. And because they were not aware, they really did not even equip themselves. They didn't even know that it was a family thing. And that's why it boils down again, awareness, communication. If in your family, know that, okay, this thing is likely to happen, if they make everyone know, even their children, and I also am an advocate of talking to your children like they are human beings. Then you don't have to give them like the complex details, but making them aware that these things can happen, and okay, it is normal. You just like mental health is affected, your mental health can be affected. So always protect yourself. Give them an environment where they are loved and they can be open to express themselves, so that when they are going through issues, they can be able to discuss it. Because another issue is not communicating. They say that a problem shared is half solved. So when you discuss your issues, especially with people that you know that these people actually love you, and they want the best for you, you are more relaxed to actually express yourself in a way that really conveys what is going on with you. But when you keep it all pent up inside, there are stressors and they're affecting you, and then you have more stressors from your external environment, then it's going to blow out of proportion. So yes, there are certain diseases that are full-blown genetic, even the anxieties, the depressions, the schizophrenias, all of them have their genetic component, but some of them do not at the time initially until they get external triggers that will now flare all up. And then people just think, okay, what is going on here? And for some families, really, it has never really occurred until that point, that individual. So that's the first case they've seen. And they were not prepared for it. They do not know how to react to it. So when we're talking about mental health issues, it is a bit dicey. It's two sides of a
Yeah.
coin.
So that I want to ask a question too, Dr. Comfort. So in the event that parents or even individuals, it could be your spouse, it could be your kids, as if you're a parent, it could be maybe if you're a teacher, your students are beginning to notice some of these things, and then how do they find ways to be able to table it to a medical professional when they know that they're experiencing it? Because I wouldn't know sometimes what it's like for you doctors, but is that usually an opportunity where it's created for individuals to be able to freely talk about these things, maybe during consultation or so? Or would it be just the role of the doctor to find a way to identify? Because I remember when I was diagnosed with a severe depression at some point, I had this backache. I think the last thing that I didn't finally do was MRI scan also, but it was consistent. And then when I started doing a lot of study, I also could see that when chronic pains like this happen, that is even connecting what you say as our physical health and our mental health is interconnected. And I have also read severally how that chronic illnesses can be as a result of some of these mental, untreated, unprocessed trauma. And so I also love you to just shed light in respect to how people can get to seek help from medical professionals, and also, when they are encountered with such kind of things?
Very good question. I think it's an important question. Where do I start with? Well, the issue of seeking medical care is a complex one because there are a lot of factors that come into play, especially with mental health. We have all agreed that there's a stigma attached to mental health. But even before we even go to mental physical health as well, especially in Nigeria when we're looking at it, the healthcare financing system is not so favorable for the average Nigerian to easily access medical
Yeah.
care. You see that quite enough would look for other alternatives before they come to the medical facility. And yeah, these are issues of a lot of issues, either cultural issues, financial issues, and their belief system really. So it's kind of complex. Then with mental health, it is not peculiar because the stigma. If I carry out, sorry, if I carry my child and I take my child or my spouse or my loved one to the hospital, first that means I've accepted that this individual has a mental health problem, right? And I want to seek care for that. So, like we said, there's stigma to it, and most people are not ready to accept that okay, mental health problem. But for those who are able to accept that, okay, there's something that might be wrong mentally and I need to seek professional help, it is easier to have conversations with those kind of people. But those who are in denial, first, they're not even thinking about that as their first option. And then another thing, some people, they might be actually crying for help. So they might come to the medical facility and be complaining about different conditions. But when you delve deeper as a medical personnel, then you realize that okay, this issue that this person is talking about is not the main issue. So if they come with people that they are not comfortable talking about the main problem, as a medical personnel, you can sense that and tell them to excuse the individual, and then you can have a one-on-one conversation. Even with kids, sometimes they grow older, they might not be able to express themselves when their parents or their guardians are there. So sometimes we are able to pick up on their behaviors, the way they are talking, the way they are communicating their concerns, and then we can be okay, maybe there's something more that we need to know, and then we can excuse the parents, and then we talk to them in a way that they are a little more comfortable to talk about their problems, and then from there we can now refer them to specialists who will handle it. So yes, as medical professionals, we are taught to be able to identify these issues, and then oftentimes, like in your case, we believe that common things occur commonly. So sometimes when you come with a physical condition, your first thought will not be, oh, it's the mental one, depending on the history that you're giving. So if as the individual themselves, the patient does not know what is wrong with them, the doctor is hearing things that are more physical, you want to, like be sure that it's not a physical problem first before you go into something more. And with the case of chronic conditions, especially chronic conditions are long-term conditions. So sometimes the condition itself, you might be tired of the condition itself and it will affect your mental state. Sometimes it's from the mental state that is affecting your physical state. So it's kind of like a loop, a feedback loop. One aspect is affecting the other. And that's why they said that total health is like looking at the individual in a holistic way. You're not just focusing on the physical aspect. They are not compartments in themselves. As an individual, you are everything. So ideally, you're supposed to look at every component. Even if you come for a mere headache, you're supposed to go beyond that physical thing. You're supposed to look at what but sometimes when I talk about health, it's not easy, especially have or
The network is breaking a bit. No, we can't really hear you. I can't really hear you.
I think we've lost Dr. Sound, right?
well, I can hear you guys
I
now.
can hear you now too.
All right. So in what I was saying that ideally as doctors, we are trained to look at individuals holistically. Sometimes your initial point of contact, you might not be able to pick it up, but oftentimes you can tell by the way the individual is talking, you can tell by their body position, you can tell that when you're trying to give them counsel on the physical condition that they came for, you will say that they're not satisfied, so you might want to delve deeper. So I would say that usually we are open enough to say, talk about your problems, and when we notice that you might not be so comfortable because of the people around you, then we create room for other people to like excuse themselves, and let's have a one-on-one. Even with children, I will say this, even with children, we find a way to communicate with them, to be for them to be able to express themselves, so that we get roots problem.
Okay, so I would also love to ask now, in directing it maybe down to psychiatrists and the likes. When people talk about having to take their kids to psychiatry, it scares them because they don't want the community to feel like my child is mad, though, because the idea around psychiatrists is that they only treat mad people. So yes, I would
That
like you to just help us clarify and debunk that ideology.
Yeah, that is true. Like, especially in Nigeria, people believe that once you're entering a psychiatric ward, that means, oh my God, your case is so terrible. They have madness in that family. And then it just makes it that sometimes you see that people have to travel to other states or have to travel to a location that is far away from where they know people, just to be able to access
Yeah.
um yeah, medical care and all. But I would like to say psychiatry is beyond madness. Madness is on a very far spectrum. Like I said, mental health issues is a wide spectrum, from something as minimum as you're just overburdened with stress, to something as serious as, oh, you actually have hearing voices and stuff like that. And just having conversations with your doctor, just like you would go and see a doctor to get malaria that is endemic in Nigeria, that people recover, they go back, they get treatment. That is how psychiatrists are just doctors for the mental health. You have doctors for your physical health,
True.
psychiatrists doctors that are attending to your mental health. So you can even just walk into the psychiatric hospital and say, Doctor, I'm really stressed. I can't even really place what's bothering me now. I want to know myself better. I want to know what's wrong with me. They can help you to address the issue. It doesn't mean that, okay, there's something so terrible with you. And that you're going to a psychiatric doctor does not mean that, oh, there's madness runs in your family. No, it just means that the way I would go and do physical checkup, I've gone through the whole year and nothing has really happened. That's the same way you go to, I even encourage people, go and know what is up. When we get to know ourselves better, we appreciate ourselves more. We are able to relate with other people more. We are able to even show love. Like we're talking about, people should be individuals. If you know yourself and you know that, okay, maybe there are issues that everybody is dealing with, then you can be kinder to the other person, and people will be less harsh and less reactional.
True.
But okay, I have issues to deal with, then I can be more accepting of other people. And that key thing of stigma in terms of, oh, going to the hospital, the
Yeah.
psychiatric hospital, stigma in terms of, I have a mental condition, oh my God, there's something so terrible with me, I am not
Yeah.
perfect, wrong. No, that is not true. Just the same way that health, you're trying to do exercise, and that's the beautiful thing about exercise. Exercise is not only for your physical health; it also affects your mental. This is good hormones that help you to think better, to be more positive, to be
Okay.
very, even if you're saying that, okay, maybe you don't want to start with going to talk to a psychiatric doctor. Self-care is there, navigating these difficulties, knowing to yourself that, okay, let me just do on my own. Let me browse and let me know about myself. Let me know my limitation. Let me know what are my triggers. Then you want to boost your good hormones, because there are hormones that are actually good, that will help you to feel better. You'll not be in a down mood. They release serotonin in your brain. They release endorphins. So there are exercises that you do. So I'm also an encourager of doing exercise. It boosts your mental health, and it will make you be better. You'll be in a lighter mood. You can think better. You can reason better. So in terms of work ethics, you're better at work. In terms of your physical health, you're better. In terms of your mental health,
Overall well-being.
overall well-being. So again, exercise is actually the full deal. Also eating well, because there are certain foods that actually can actually affect your mental health. So eating well, eating healthily, fruits, taking a lot of water, all of these
Okay.
things, because when you're stressed, the body releases toxins that are harmful to your body. and these toxins, they can stay in your body and keep on causing things that are very harmful. But when you take fruits have antioxidants that can actually deal with these toxins and remove them from your system. So that's why these things might seem as basic and as just you hear them normally, but if you understand the reason behind why you're doing all of these things, then maybe people will be more attuned to actually doing exercise. And exercise doesn't mean that you must go to the gym. You can do exercise at home. You can get online, have a social circle where you guys are motivating yourselves. You stay and you do the exercise because maybe the cost of going to gym is so much. You can take walks around your house. You can run around your house. You can do things, skip around your house. You can just do things that will just boost your hormones and make you be better. And then eat healthily. Eating healthily does not mean that you must buy expensive things. What is within your ability to do at that point? You might be in a locality where what is readily available are carrots, bananas. They are affordable for you. Take that. Nobody is saying that you should have to do something that is beyond your capacity. But just being self-aware, being conscious, and deciding that I want to be better and I want to do better. I want my mental health. You want to prioritize your mental health. You will see that you're not better for yourself. You're better for your immediate family. People will be happier around you. You'll be able to people, and then you're benefiting. Your immediate surrounding is benefiting, and then the larger society is benefiting because at school, at work, wherever you are, you're contributing positively to the community. So as little be, they are very helpful. And I'd like to add for those who have actually been diagnosed with a mental health condition and they are taking medications for it, I would like to encourage them. Adherence is
Okay.
mental health. If you adhere to your because most of these medications, they help to stabilize hormones, they help to stabilize your body, they help to stabilize your mental health. So if you do not take these medications, then the things that you do not want people to know about, the things that people will say, oh, this person is weird, or this person is, oh, there's something wrong, those things that okay you're trying to control, if you do not take your medication, then
True.
you're not able doing the people around you favor. And adherence is not just taking your medication. Adherence is taking your medication the right way at the right time. I'm not saying that it is easy, but when you understand that this thing is going to help you to be a better person, to live your life optimally, we all want to live our lives to the best of our capabilities. So these medications are not trying to punish you. They're only trying to help you to be who you're supposed to be. And always encourage that if you want to stop taking your medication, your doctors or your healthcare professionals, even if it's your therapist, they are not your they are not your enemies, they are your friends. They want you to be better. So discuss with them what your challenges are. If you do not trust any other person, at least trust your healthcare professional to be able to tell them that, oh, I'm really not comfortable with this medication. Because sometimes people are not aware. No, there are other companies.
Yeah, we lost your sound again.
Okay, sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes, we
Yes, we
can.
can.
What I was saying is that I would like people to know that they can have discussions with their healthcare professionals about the medications they are taking. Some people are not aware to discuss these things with their healthcare professionals, but you can actually discuss them and tell them that if they're making you feel a way and you don't like it, instead of just not taking it and not going back to the hospital, that's doing yourself a disservice. Because even taking the drugs, want to stop taking the drugs, some of these drugs you have to taper them down. So you have to start reducing the concentration daily before you now completely go off. You don't just go off without like abruptly. You don't just say today I'm stopping the medication and then you stop like that. No, because they also have side effects to your body. So I'll encourage that those who are taking their medications, if you have any issue with it, talk to your healthcare providers. Do not keep quiet. With mental health issues, communication is key. Letting people know, like, and I know that sometimes it's not easy to explain what is going on with you, but trying to do that in the best way possible would be 10 times better than keeping quiet. And that's what
True.
I'll have to. Yes. And then beyond medications, there are other kind of therapies that can be done. We have behavioral therapies, cognitive behavioral therapies. We have psychotherapy, just talking. Others can be music therapy. You can just be listening to it. For some people, it work. Just listening to music, the kind of music they want, and then the body. All it's all about your mental health. If it's going to help you stabilize your mood, going to help you release things that are good hormones that will make you be more positive in life, that's fine. Some people is all about yoga, mindful, being mindful of yourself, and just connecting with.
Abubakar is laughing because that's what he is
Yes,
into.
I heard that, and that's why I'm talking about it. So all of these things are important. And sometimes people, especially in Nigeria, people do not really believe in yoga. But all of these things is just to center yourself and bring yourself back to, like, stabilizing your mood. The mental space is something that you have to be conscious about. So I would just urge people that prioritize your mental health in as much as you cannot quantify it. When you prioritize, you say that you're more efficient in life, you will do things better. It's not something that you have to prove. It will just show in the way you're living your life, because whatever happens in your brain is going to show in your physical.
So we
Yes,
have
in your.
for you, Dr. Comfort. The person asks, what can you say about anxiety that comes as a result of other illnesses? We have
Yes,
Dr. Sorry.
like we thank you. Like I've said, the physical and the mental health are interlinked. It is, you cannot separate one from the other. And in as much as you have one medical condition, if you're treating that with a drug, now it could be that the medical condition itself is causing you anxiety, or it could be that the drugs you're taking actually causing the anxiety. So what the drug you're trying to use for the medical condition is now having a side effect that's triggering your anxiety. So oftentimes when you discuss with your healthcare professional, they look at you holistically. They try to identify, is it the drug that is causing it? If it's the drug, they give you alternatives. Or if there's no alternative to that drug, then they give you their anxiolytics, drugs that help to stabilize your anxiety. So if that drug you're taking is the only, like, is the main drug that can address the medical condition that you're dealing with, then they give you other drugs that can help you to control your anxiety. Or if it's the medical condition itself that's causing the anxiety, if there are other behavioral therapies that you can use to actually control your anxiety, that is done. If not, they give you medications to deal with it. So it is true that there are other medical conditions that can cause mental health problems, or your mental health problems can cause other medical conditions. That is why looking at the individual holistically is the best way of treating any individual.
Okay. Thank you so
Yeah,
much. Thank you, Dr.
yeah.
Comfort. Thank you
Thank
for addressing
you.
the questions also that were able to come up. I really, really appreciate your input. And I must say that I'm really grateful for all of your perspective in breaking down all the stigma that, are around, especially psychiatry and, the services that they provide in adhering to medication as well, in understanding that your physical well-being and your physical well-being are interrelated. I must say that we are truly, truly grateful for all of these inputs and for answering our questions well. I must say that this is really, really awesome, and we're really grateful for this opportunity.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. It was really an honor to be here. I enjoyed it listening to you guys talk. I also learned new things, and I'm happy. I'm happy that we are breaking the barrier, the stigma. It is not a day's job, so we are going to keep on doing. And I urge
Yeah.
people to talking about mental health, because when you talk about it, then you break the stigma around it, you break the silence, and more people will be able to know that, okay, they are not the only ones going through it. Everybody goes through one mental health problem or the other. If you're stressed physically, it can affect your mental health. That one thing everybody should know, everybody goes through one mental health problem or the other. So you are not alone. It is not something that is strange. It is just about prioritizing your health and taking care of it. So do not feel ashamed. Never look like, oh, there's something strange or wrong with you. Just take care of yourself and you'll be fine.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate you. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Comfort. Really, really, really healthy, insightful comments you've shared with us today. I would appeal to patients to have you join these sessions as much as possible, so that we can always have that angle, that medical angle, and that very vast, wealth of experience that you bring to the table. Thank you so much for sharing.
Uh, I love the fact that you're into mental health, you're doing exercise, yoga. I mean, you're You're really touching all the important areas, and yeah, I enjoyed the session, and I would like to hear from you guys as well. So,
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much.
thank you so much. Uh,
Mr. Abubakar, next, will be taking us to the next segment, the show on.
Okay, patience. I just wanted to add something, which is a bit interesting. Hong Kong ranks number one in the world for life expectancy. And the age that they have, the average age for both gender is 85.83. Japan ranks third with 84.95. Do you have an idea where Nigeria ranks? And no shade on Nigeria. It's just to build a consciousness around our physical well-being. With these two countries I've mentioned, it gives us an idea, not an idea, we know that they are very physical. They employ a whole lot of physical activities in their daily lives. Just to answer the question I asked, Nigeria is ranked 200 out of 201, and our life expectancy is 52.89 years. So you can see the difference between Nigeria and the ones ranking at the top. So this tells us something, as Dr. Comfort has rightly pointed out, that we need a very conscious, heightened approach to our physical well-being, because our physical well-being directly affects our mental health. It directly affects our mental well-being. And she did talk about yoga. Yoga generally is just a connection between your mind and your body. That's the description of yoga. It's mindful movement to be able to enhance, improve, the functionalities, the strengthening, the composure of your body, and affects, that directly would affect how you're able to, just carry out everyday activities. For what we do with yoga, it's generally the connection of your physical body and your emotional well-being. Exercise generally has the ability to do that, and I really just don't want to narrow the conversation to yoga so that it doesn't seem we're selling just yoga to people. We're selling physical well-being, we're selling physical
Yeah.
activities. And there's something that is also embedded in physical activities, which is a whole lot of time people miss that. It is the life skills that come with it. Why am I bringing life skills? For us to be able to be productive and to also be able to fight mental health and mental health issues, or improve our mental well-being, we
Yeah.
need to be able to make money. We need to be able to serve ourselves better.
Yeah.
In sports generally, especially competitive sports, there are several life skills that spans into every aspect of our lives. One is sportsmanship. You're able to process winning, you're able to process losing when you practice sports. And even if it's not a competitive sport, when you go out, you mentioned 20 push-ups. When you start a routine for yourself, I do not expect that over a period of 1 year, you want to keep doing 20 push-ups. You probably will start with 5, you advance to 15, and you keep going. So there's that self-battle that keeps on going. You're trying to surpass what you've been able to do. These are the simple, salient life skills that come in, actively participating in sports. You continually challenge yourself to be able to do these things, to be able to perform at a different level that you've done it, a few moments ago. And,
Yeah, I
exercise.
truly agree, because I remember there were times I was having really, really low moments, and for me, what I needed to do was to go out and do 600 skips and probably some aerobics. And I tell you, when all that adrenaline is out there pumping out, I always would feel better. My headspace that was feeling really clogged would really feel as if, oh, it's really empty in there. So I to that, I can physically attest, to the benefits of exercising.
And this is scientifically proven. There's been extensive research that has been done over the connection between our physical well-being and our mental well-being. And as Dr. Comfort has also expanded to even our financial well-being, other aspects that
It affects us, yeah.
overall Yeah, makes us who we are. Physical activity has significant health benefits to our hearts, to our bodies, and our minds. Physical activity also contributes to preventing and managing non-communicable diseases. It's something that we also need to understand. Non-communicable diseases that span out from, not things like HIV, malaria, and all that. These are things that span out, internally. So exercise helps us, in managing that and preventing. It also reduces the symptoms of depression and anxiety. We're in a state that the difficulty that we find, not just in Nigeria, but in the world, can easily push people to become anxious, and by extension of that anxiety, stress. We get people, find themselves in depressed states. So the engagement in physical activity also reduces the symptoms in depression and anxiety. Physical activity also enhances thinking, learning, judgment skills. As a people, we're very judgmental, I'm sorry to say, and we're easy to just call out people for who they are, for how they do things differently from us.
True.
But when we engage in physical activity, we're able to see things differently. If you're able to run at a pace of 10 steps per 10 meters, the person does it differently, and how we're all hoping to have a very sound mind and body is also different, So our judgments, our ideas to judging people in how they do things, you see it differently. And it ensures healthy growth and development in young people. And lastly, Dr. Patience, before I go, I just wanted to point this out as what WHO has said as a standard for people to engage in exercise. So if you're between the ages of 5 to 17 years, you're expected to exercise daily for a minimum of 60 minutes. And what I'm saying here is the exercise should be between moderate to high intensity.
Okay.
So if jogging is a moderate to high intensity, jumping jacks is quite a high intensity workout. Skipping is high intensity. Walking is moderate to high intensity. So if you find yourself within this age category, 15 to 17, please put it in your mind, build that consciousness, build that culture, and most importantly, make it a lifestyle. Build that lifestyle that you're able to exercise a minimum of 60 minutes daily. And if you find yourself within 18 to 64, which I feel is the majority of people we're speaking to at this point in time, based on the demographic of our audience, you need to also exercise a minimum of 6 hours on a weekly basis. That's moderate to high intensity.
On
And
a
if it's
weekly basis, 6 hours.
Yeah, and if it's high intensity, you can do 2 hours every day. It's important. Trust me, you would see the impact in your life. You see the impact in your everyday movement. You see the impact in your businesses. You see the impact in your marriages. You see the impact in your relationships. You see the impact in overall ability in how you are able to, move around and, carry out your daily activities. So it's just important that we build this consciousness around, doing these things.
I would love to ask
Yes,
a question still
yes, please.
talking about yoga, because I know that it's one of the things that you do. So I know some part of yoga, delves into meditation. And at that point, it brings you into self-awareness. It also brings you into the point where it stills, especially in people who are experiencing anxiety disorders, where they are panicking, where they are having to worry and have so much of fear in them over certain things. I believe strongly, in some of those mindful movements and engagements you do in yoga can come into, in a way, steal all of that. So I would just love you to shed a little light on the benefits of yoga as it concerns, anxiety disorders, especially knowing that they are characterized by panics, worry, fear.
So what yoga, as I earlier said, is yoga is the connection between your mind and your body. Um, Yoga grounds you, and in grounding, it also centralizes your thinking. What yoga gives you is an opportunity for you to see yourself and reflect inward. There's a saying in yoga, they say, my yoga, my space. So when you're on that mat, it's between you and yourself, not the other person, not the entire classroom. It's your practice. And what that practice helps us do is it builds a consciousness in identifying, in accepting, in revealing, in letting go. So when you hit a mountain pose, it's a pose that shows strength. When you hit a pose of a baby back bend, it shows a pose that is submissive. So it is you in different movements, motions that allow you to interact with your own self. We have the warrior pose that shows strength. So when you extend that warrior pose and you're feeling pain in your lats, in your biceps, in your triceps, you're reminding yourself that you are strong beyond measure. When you go into surrender and you rest, it shows that no matter what challenges that the world brings to you, I can still find time to take and rest and appreciate everything that's happened.
So
So yoga is just
all of the poses and the different techniques that are being engaged in yoga send a message directly to our brain as well as to ways it can help us relax.
spot on, patience. It's just we connecting with our body and also activating several muscles, several parts of our body that our daily movement doesn't allow us activate or touch.
To that, I would love to add to that, because when you watch somatic exercises, they're somewhat having a lot of the yoga techniques and moves being incorporated in what they do. But it's also trying to see that in areas of the body where trauma has been stored in so much, it helps you release the tension in those areas, because like we explained when we were talking about trauma and trauma responses, we talked on how that trauma can be stored up in your body in different ways. And in that, when they do not find expression, they begin to fight you inwardly. So you find out that your body is beginning to respond in different ways. And, just like Dr. Comfort also said, it can now with time begin to progress into chronic illnesses like heart disease, and different chronic pains that people can experience. I was speaking with my mentor the other day, and then, even certain cancers, she was sharing with me that, when trauma is stored up in your body, they can even go down to develop, certain, they're just looking for, the trauma is just seeking way out. And, in exercising, in yoga, what we're doing, we're trying to let it out. And if you watch some of the somatic exercises, there are times that individuals will scream out the pain, the hurt, and whatever, must have put them, or whatever the distressing situation, must have been. So to that, I really see the benefits that yoga, mindful movement, and exercising generally can bring to the mental health space.
Yeah, just to add before I conclude, there's a myth around yoga and there's a misconception around yoga. As simply as I've defined it, is a connection between the mind and the body. However, there are different depths to yoga. Yoga generally is movement, is poses that also have very, very direct effect over our physical body, our anatomy. Every pose that you see in yoga directly affects a part of your body. And it's supposed to strengthen it, it's supposed to improve the flexibility of that area, it's supposed to also improve the mobility within those areas as well. For meditation, yoga gives us an opportunity to really just dig down in silence to see who we are, see the light of who we are. So yoga is a great practice that we can incorporate to our daily life. There are several content out there for us to check. I'd always suggest for people to look at for beginner content where you're able to balance starting and not really put your body in a position where you get yourself hurt or get yourself injured.
Exactly.
Start from the basic level. Practice as much as you can. It's something that Dr. Comfort also talked about. Yoga is something that you can do in your space. It's also proving that when you work, like what we're doing today, after every 30 minutes, 45 minutes, stand up from your chair, just move around, you know. Yoga poses are great for you to just incorporate. You could hit a mountain pose, you could hit a star pose, you could do several things to just, you know, expand your body, open your spine, open your hip flexors, and, you know, all that, you know. So, yeah, exercise, I always would say, has a direct relationship and effect
Impact on
on our
one's physical and mental health.
well-being, overall well-being. Yeah, thank you, Patience.
So much, Abubakar. So next, I would be inviting our next guest, who we had initially introduced and welcomed. And next, he'll be taking us on the next part of this session, which anchors around navigating difficulties. And he will be coming, you know, in the aspect of it from a spiritual perspective, as well as, you know, as he connects to our job, being that he is also an expert and a consultant as he connects to marketing. So shortly we will be having our guest come up to be, you know, part of this show with us, sharing and enlightening us on the spiritual perspective to this. So while we await him joining us on this show, I would love to share one or two things with us. I would love to share. There are certain pillars, like we've all explained, that are pivots or very important in one's life. And these pillars are, first of all, social pillars, emotional pillars, physical pillars, spiritual pillars, as well as mental pillars. So to that, I'm just going to give us very short highlights on all of these topics. So on the physical pillars, it has to do with our hygiene and things like what Abubakar shared, exercising, all that pertains to your physical well-being, your appearance, you know, how you put yourself together, how you dress, how you have your bath frequently. It all boils down to how you take care of your physical health. So you definitely know that what you ingest, what you eat will affect you. That it means that you have to eat healthy. If you know that exercising is of great benefit, it means that also you have to keep exercising. So to that, one of the main pillars of our lives, and also from this particular pillar, the truth is, difficulties can come in, because when you are challenged physically as it connects to your health, trust me, you can't function well. Some people are physically challenged in their health and then can't go to work, you know. So the physical pillar affects us, and all these pillars are pillars that affect us as individuals. The next is our mental pillar. It includes how we manage stress and how we cope generally with challenges when they come our way. And it is all that we have been saying. Your mental health has everything to do with how you think, how you act, how you respond to situations, how you cope when you are stressed, how you identify triggers, the things that would trigger you normally. You know, all of these things are all encompassing when you talk about your mental health. But unfortunately, this aspect of our lives tend to be neglected because people do not even admit that mental health is a thing. People do not admit that just the way you see somebody physically down and tell them sorry. Someone can be mentally down, but identifying some of the symptoms or some of the traits that people can exhibit, and then you have to identify from all of these traits and symptoms to be able to provide help and support is very important, is very pivot, is part of the things that we are saying. For example, I'll say in depressive disorders, we find out that before someone can be said or to be or experiencing depression, he or she must have experienced at least 5 of the major symptoms of depression. One, like low energies, irritability, inability to sleep, inability, having either you're sleeping too much, you're sleeping less, you're having an eating disorder, either you're having to eat too much or eat less, you're having thoughts to harm yourself, you're also having suicidal thoughts or attempts. You know, you're having low energies, feeling hopeless, feeling sad. you have very, very low energies. To that, you begin to see that even your room, you can't tidy. The things that you normally be enthusiastic about, you have little or almost no interest in them again. So to that, I'm saying before one can be diagnosed, for example, with a depressive disorder, you must have noticed consecutively for 2 weeks. For 2 weeks, five of some of these symptoms I mentioned. For 2 weeks, five of them. Some of them would fade out, before the 2 weeks, but if it extends to 2 weeks and more, of course, these are depressive disorders, and then it's like I said from the onset, it is important to understand the roles of counselors and therapists. They are not trying to dictate to you, but the truth is, it has also been proven that therapy in itself, to whatever form of medication, to whatever form of, even doctors, after they finish prescribing, they need to talk to you. Talk therapy is important, is effective. It has proven effective over the years, and that is why to whatever form, whatever medication, whatever you are doing, it is important, no matter how you feel. When you're beginning to experience some of these things, I will encourage that you also encourage individuals around you to seek professional help. Speak to a counselor, speak to a therapist. And I have also mentioned, in the event that you don't know how to contact one, send us an email at mentalhealthwithasha@gmail.com, and then you reach out to us, either any of our social media platforms, and we will see how we can get you to meet one. So also talking about pillars, we've talked about physical pillars, we've talked about mental pillars, and next we'll be going to talk on social pillars. This refers to the relationship and its overall impact on our lives. The truth is, relationships are important. When you were born into the world, you were welcomed into a community of people, and as you grew up, you had to sustain that relationship, because these people were the ones who cared for you, who supported you somewhat till you were able to stand on your feet and be who you are today. So really, and the truth is, our social life, or our social interactions are very important, and it's why also you see the stigma is high. Why? Because when it comes to social support, there's little or almost no social support when it comes to mental health, because even the people you are expecting or you're thinking would support you, they are the ones that would not. And it's also why I will still advocate to speak to a counselor or speak to a therapist. So talking about our social, this refers to our relationships and the overall impact on one's well-being and happiness. From family to close friends to colleagues to acquaintances to social interactions, they are very crucial to our lives. And in the event that you don't think you're ready to speak to a counselor or a therapist, speak to that friend you trust about how you feel. Speak to that family member you trust about how you feel, who knows without judgment and with empathy will understand and find, and with you join hands together to find ways that you can feel better. Research has shown that social support is key in managing stress, reducing the risk of depression and anxiety, boosting one's immune system, one's physical health, lowering one's blood pressure, reducing the risks of heart diseases, and building a stronger immune system. Being socially connected can improve one's cognitive function as well as memory. And that is why sometimes you find out that people, for example, who are having one or more medical conditions, with the support of their family and friends, tend to recover faster. I don't know if we've noticed that, but they tend. So the lack of this social support can be a difficulty in itself that one needs to navigate. If you want friends, you have to show yourself friendly. If you are going through something, it is not wrong to seek help. Sometimes for men, we find it really uncomfortable to ask for help. But I'm saying that as it concerns to your mental health and well-being, there is nothing wrong with seeking help. There is nothing wrong with asking for help. It is okay. It is safe to seek help. It is safe to seek support, especially from family and from friends. Hausa, there is an adage in Hausa that people would leave you, but family is all that you have. It's all that you got. So yes, to add to that, or to raise a disclaimer, sometimes our triggers can be or can come from family as well. But in understanding that is why I earlier mentioned that in navigating difficulties, we have to have a plan. You have to understand where your triggers are coming from, just so that you know how to avoid them or how to navigate through. So the lack of social support is a difficulty in itself that one needs to navigate. You need to learn over time now to build trust. But in building trust, sometimes in saying these things, you might not be able to do it on your own. But with the help of a therapist or with the help of a counselor, you can begin to build healthy relationships. For some of us, it's the events that, we've been abused severally in relationships that we've gotten into, either just with friends, not necessarily with spouses. We've been abused emotionally, we've been abused psychologically, we've been abused even physically. And to that, we don't want connections anymore. We just feel like we're better off on our own, isolated. But in isolation, the risk at which one, can be exposed or be at risk of depressive and anxiety disorders are also very high, considering, all of the factors that are present or on the table. So I would encourage that, accommodating diversities and giving back, loving people, all of these things. If you know that you are having difficulties in communicating, people are thinking you are this way when you know you're not that. And truly, there are some people that are probably even struggling with bipolar disorders, having mood flips at the slightest intervals. Some are having personality disorder. They switch in personalities. They are this person now, and you meet them out the door and they'll tell you that they are this. A whole different personality from who you just met a few minutes ago. So in understanding that social interactions are important, it's also important to throw it out that we must be kind, because we have no idea what people are going through and what people are experiencing. And to that, we have to keep encouraging people as much as we can to be kind. So another pillar is the spiritual pillar, which encompasses, the sense of purpose and meaning that we have to life. So God can mean different things to different people. Some people worship Jesus, some people worship Mary, some people worship Allah, some people worship Buddha. Whatever your worship is, or whoever you lay your worship down to, so to say, is your personal decision. And to that, it's important that we understand that our beliefs as well and our worship, our spirituality also is a contributing factor in how we live our lives and how our lives are structured. And so to that, the spiritual pillar of life is the part of us that seeks meaning and purpose beyond the material world. It is the part of us that connects us to the higher power or source of meaning, whether that be God, that be the universe, or something else. It's not necessarily tied to a specific religion or belief system, but it could also be our own personal sense of spirituality. There are people who will tell you that they uphold humanity over spirituality. They uphold humanity over religion. And to that, I will add that in dealing with people, generally, either at your workplace, in your family, it is important to know that, as much as you can, don't throw judgment as to what people actually, they have the right to believe what they want to believe. They have a right to live life the way they want to. And, in doing that, you are not invalidating what their beliefs are and how they feel, but you're saying that as much as this is a thing, as much as this is what you have chosen to believe, what you have chosen to go by, you can now help that individual find ways around to navigate whatever the difficulty at the moment is. So yes, to that, the spiritual pillar of life includes practices such as meditation, such as prayer, such as mindfulness and reflection. And it is also about cultivating a sense of inner peace and fulfillment. Inner peace, and that goes beyond just material possession. I've heard people say that, beyond just okay, I will attach that to a job. Some people will tell you that they would rather stick to jobs that pay them less and they have peace than go to a job that pays them high and their mental health is at stake. So to that, I'm saying that, while we are on this journey, while we are on this path to awareness as it concerns mental health, we are saying that empathy is very important. Being non-judgmental, it doesn't matter what that person's ideology or beliefs is. Everyone has the right to believe what they want to believe. So in understanding that, it helps us, or it carves a part of creating safe spaces for people to open up. So yes, going to the emotional pillars. So we've talked about physical pillars, we've talked about spiritual pillars, we've talked about emotional pillars. That's what we're about to talk about social pillars and also physical pillars. So the last one is the emotional pillars, and this is crucial to our well-being, and ignoring them can have long-term effects on our mental health and as well physical health. Emotional pillars refer to our well-being and our abilities to regulate our emotions. When we talked about trauma and trauma responses, we mentioned how dysregulations can happen, whether by internal factors or by external factors. And Dr. Comfort mentioned when we say dysregulation, they could come as a result of triggers. What are your triggers? What could be things that trigger you? Could it be when someone shouts at you? Could it be when you have a need? I knew that there was a time in my life where when I have like 10,000 naira, I start getting anxious that I'm already broke. Anxiety hits me, fear and worry hits me so hard. I still have money, but I am worried that I am already broke. The worry enough. And to that, sometimes for us, the whip we use to injure ourselves is the fact that we mount so much pressure on ourselves as it connects to, unmet expectations. The year is coming to a close. Many of us are thinking, oh, I was not able to buy the car I wanted to buy. I was not able to get married as I planned. I was not able to buy the house. I was not able to save this amount of money. I was not able to come out with this grade in school. I was not able to secure a job this year, and it's making you feel like a failure. No, we're saying that you can cope yourself, or you can equip yourself with coping mechanisms that can help you. And one of it, like we mentioned, is whatever your spiritual beliefs are. Because for some people, self-care for them is playing a worship song. Some people is saying the dua. Some people is, talking about religious topics. So whatever some people is reading the holy book. So different things that you can do. Some people is avoiding your triggers, identifying them and avoiding them. So if I know that this guy on red shirt always triggers me, I try to avoid it, because when I'm triggered, I know I become something else. I'm probably a wolf in sheep clothing. So understanding what your triggers are very important as well. So yes, to that, I would say that identifying, I will wrap up with some of these key points and some of these key highlights. Identifying your stressors. It could be like you're not making enough money. It could be that you lost a loved one. It could be a divorce. It could be marital instability. It could be that you don't have money to pay your school fees. It could be different things for different people. So whatever the situation might be, identifying your stressors are important. And in identifying them, if it's, for example, a relationship or your friendship, you probably might need to realize that I need to set up a boundary, a healthy boundary. And in setting up boundaries, I need us to understand that boundaries are not about the individuals. It's not, you're not setting those boundaries because of the people. You're setting that boundary because of yourself. Probably the disrespect has always made you feel bad and sad. So you're setting boundaries to be able to protect you from that disrespect. You're setting boundaries so that it can help elevate your self-confidence. I remember there was a time in my life, my best friend at some point, I didn't know I was suffering from inferiority complex, but when I found out, for me, one of the things I needed to do, or I had to do that time, was to break out a bit. Yes, they might think, why am I acting weird? Why did I need to do this? Why did I need to do that? And after that, I set boundaries, not physical boundaries like, building a wall, but it was a boundary in my mind that, guided how I would always relate with her, such that I did not come from a place where I was depending on her for my identification, but I was understanding that I am unique. And to be honest, at that time, I had very unique qualities. I was a spiritual leader. I had things going on. I was well respected, but little did people know at that point that I was actually suffering from inferiority whenever I was around my own friends. You can imagine I was feeling timid. I was feeling I was not enough. You know, all of this stuff were happening. And then when I go to my fellowship, you can literally see some people wanting to clean the dust off your feet. So to that, I would say that, you know, identifying your stressors are very important. You know, identifying that this thing triggers me, that thing triggers me, helps you know how well to cope and how to avoid these triggers. So also, I would always say prioritize self-care. Abubakar, I don't know, would you love to share with us on self-care, the importance of self-care, and examples of things that people can do for self-care?
Thank you, Patient. Self-care, as the word implies, is a self-explanatory word. It's you caring for yourself. Self-care varies across different stratas. It varies across different levels of appreciation, you know, in your physical activity journey. It also, varies according to your understanding to knowing how self-care also affects you as a person, you know. So I'll speak for myself I'd use myself as an example to talk about self-care. My self-care practices are enormous, but they all revolve around physical well-being, spirituality, music, connecting with nature, having healthy human interactions and conversation. I'm big on conversations because that is the root or the access to people's minds, to people's souls, if I put it that way, in quotes. You're able to see how somebody is able to process things by how they speak. You know, so I'm big about on conversation. So self-care for me is anything that brings peace of mind. Self-care is anything that drops the level of stress. Self-care is
Yes.
anything that gives you an ability to be more productive. Self-care is anything that gives you an ability to be able to interact and communicate with your community, with people within that community, within people within your workspace in a very healthy and a respectful manner. So for me, I play a lot of basketball. I also do yoga. For some people, it's running. They enjoy just, you know, hitting the tracks and seeing themselves, you know, fly across the road. For some people,
For me, it's journaling. I love night drives as well. I love
also,
coffee. Burning incense in my house. It just relaxes my
also,
nerves, and then you know I sleep better. So I do a lot of that.
and I would say self-care is also what a whole lot of people do now. Just, you know, being able to take care of yourself. You know, rubbing the right perfume, rubbing the right cream, taking a very
Present.
very elevated bath. You know, rather than just taking the quick bath that you would have. You know, when you're going out to work, you probably, you know, make a bathtub. You know, fill it up with, you know, water and all those things that just makes you feel good. For some people,
I love.
it's also, you know,
I love. Sometimes self care is cry. Is
say
a
that
very
again.
is you having a good cry. Just locking yourself probably in your pillow. You cry your heart out, and then that's just it. When you're done, you
Uh,
clean your face,
I,
wipe your.
I totally agree with you on that, and I just add a little to that. I think accepting emotion should be the right or the expanded description of that. Emotions crying could be an emotion of joy, crying could be an emotion of pain, you know. So accepting an emotion, acknowledging it that it's there, and allowing it flow through the natural ways, you know. So if you're feeling pressured, you're feeling stressed out, and you know what would make you feel a little better, add some care to yourself, to let that emotion, is to accept that emotion and let it out. And it's crying, I think that is also self-care.
Some
You're
people
not
will
wrong to say that.
to the pillow just so that you know they are not quite causing noise pollution to their environment, and then whatever would relieve all of those emotional disturbances that one is experiencing basically is what you know self-care is. Sometimes it's just you having a good talk with your friend, your colleague, or someone that you know you would always have chit chats with from time to time. So whatever.
Yes, we have Binta Abdullahi saying that I feel crying is the best for me expressing myself. That is
You
that
see,
is that is very
sometimes
very valid. Uh, but But in expressing yourself, you'd require other approaches as well. We've touched and talked on them, a bit in depthly. Having good, social interactions, finding safe spaces,
True,
either from medical or trained personnel or even family members, to share
true.
some of these difficult things. That because if you're expressing yourself just crying, I feel there's still more embedded within you that needs to, be looked in. And in navigating these tough times, I will tell you for free, crying only as a source of self-care, in navigating this tough time wouldn't suffice nicely. I would recommend and I'll suggest that you're able to add a few of all those things that we've discussed today in
I
ways that you're able to, relieve the pressure, relieve the stress, relieve the pain, relieve whatever emotion you're going through.
yeah.
Trust me, it will really help. So I validate your ways of expressing yourself, but I also would recommend that you add a few more. Thank you.
Okay. So to continue, I would also add that it's okay to grieve your losses. When there is a loss, it's very okay to grieve that, okay, I failed here, I lost the game, I lost this amount of money, I lost a loved one, I lost, my marriage, I lost my child. Whatever it is that is the loss at that moment, is okay to grieve your loss. But one thing I always say in my counseling sessions is don't stay down too long. It's okay to feel down, but don't stay down too long. It's okay to grieve the pain. It's okay to feel all of the emotions, be it joy, happiness, sadness. Sometimes they exist or coexist simultaneously, but it's okay to grieve, your losses. I will also say it's very important to practice gratitude. Sometimes we're so invested in what we don't have that we can't even see the things we have. Sometimes we are so engrafted in the fact that I need this, I need that we're not grateful for life, we're not grateful for hands, we're not grateful for our feet, we're not grateful for. I remember one day was very remarkable in my life and in my spiritual journey. I just woke up that day and it was at night, and I knelt down and I was praying, and all of a sudden I started weeping. It was not crying, I was weeping. And then all of a sudden Thanksgiving started coming out, and I started thanking God that we had spoons in the kitchen, and that was the highest for me. I was crying that there were spoons in the kitchen, and I'm like, okay. It was after the prayer session I was like, okay, why am I crying over spoons? But it came from a place of gratitude that I understand many people do not even have cutleries. Many people do not even have hands, which is even our natural cutlery to eat with. So yes, another thing I will also highlight in all that we've discussed is investing in self-care. Like we said, grieve your losses, focus on the things that you can change and leave the things you cannot change. Focus, because in like I said, embedding in just focusing on the things you cannot change, all you're doing is heightening anxiety and giving room for depression as well as other disorders that can come as a result of all of the symptoms that you are exhibiting. So focus only on the things that you can change and not the things you cannot change. Practice gratitude. Celebrate your small wins. Oh, I was able to make a sale of 5,000 today, and usually I just make a sale of 2,000. It's small, but it's big. So celebrate your small wins. One thing I always encourage people is learn to say no. See, the spelling is just no, no, but it's difficult when you need to practice it. Learn to say no to those friends that probably are influences. Learn to say no to that particular lifestyle that you want to drop. Learn to say no, even to yourself, to your appetite of overspending. Learn to say no. You have to learn to say no. Take charge of your environment, what you hear, what you see, you know. It's very important. Be responsible for the things you hear. Be responsible for the things you see. Be responsible for the things you brood on. It is your responsibility to do that, not anybody. Your mental health is your responsibility. I hear people sometimes say they don't even watch the news. Why? Because it literally puts them in a state of anxiety whenever they watch the news. So you should learn to say no when you need to say no. I would always say this. And you also have to, take charge of what you hear, what you see, and what you think about. It's important because what you think about becomes your mood and also affects your mental health, because your mental health generally is about what you think, what you feel, and what you act. And these things are very valid. I'll also say don't withdraw in tough times. When you know that it's tough, when the going gets tough, it's not a time, because a lot of times these are very common with depressive disorders. You tend to want to isolate because you don't feel understood, because you don't feel heard, because you don't, whatever you're going, as unique as it is, nobody can relate to it. In one of my sessions, I had one of my treasures share with me how that it's been very difficult to relate with all the counselors that she has had experiences with, but she somewhat feels like she was able to open up. And for me, it was beautiful. I was excited because they were coming from places of pain, but I was so happy because she finally found a safe space to be able to express herself and not withdraw, because it was beginning to affect how she eats. It was beginning to affect her sleep. And, sometimes she's startled from some of the nightmares that she's having. She begins to sweat so much at night, and all of those experiences and all of those symptoms she was getting. So people around her were of the opinion that she's overreacting. People around her were wondering why is she the only one here? Why is she acting that way? But nobody understood her uniqueness. And that will take me back to my favorite quote that was coined by me, like I said, from my experiences, in counseling. I was able to come up with this beautiful quote which says, "Embrace the power of seeking help. Your uniqueness deserves understanding, and the myth of isolation only prolongs the problem." The problem is in your head, it's in your mind. Except you let it out, nobody will know. So withdrawing sometimes it's a function of you not being heard, you not being understood. And I can understand as to why you feel that way. But like I would always suggest, sometimes if you cannot even have access to professional help, sometimes it's your friends, sometimes it's your spiritual leaders, sometimes it's even your parents, sometimes it's your spouse. Good communication can actually help you. So yes, identify your stressors, focus on the things you can change, grieve your losses, invest in self-care. Don't withdraw in tough times. I will still emphasize on invest in self-care. If it's exercising, incorporate it into your routine. If you are like me, that you love to take night drives when your head is all clogged, do that. If you love to burn incense like me, do that. If you love to listen to worship songs, do that. Whatever speaks well, resonates well, help you, the dysregulation helps you regulate your emotions. It will help you, because sometimes it spill off to people that you love, and then they're wondering, why should she talk to me that way? Why should she treat me that way? So in all we're doing, I'm saying that we should also learn to say no. Learn to say no to yourself. Learn to say no to the situations, whatever it is. So that habit, of overspending, to that habit that you want to drop, learn to say no. Take charge of your environment, what you hear. I was having a conversation with Mr. Abubakar, one time, and he was, emphasizing that, when it comes to people around him, he does not welcome certain kind of talks. So when you're around him, you just know that this is not welcome here, so you don't have those kind of conversations with him. So yes, it's important. You see it and you make your environment, and you set boundaries around the kind of things that people will also bring around you. So accept your feelings, and I must say that with that. Oh, you want to say something, Mr. Walker?
Yes, I just wanted to add with what you've said, learn to say no, take charge of your environment, what you hear, what you see. Very powerful. For me, my last addition to this is own your struggle. Thank you.
Thank you. Own your trouble. That's a big word. Thank you so much. So with that, I think it brings us to the end of this live session today, second episode of Navigating Difficulties. I am really positive that we've been able to pick one or two or more themes from this session. And for people that have been around, I'm grateful. For new people that joined in today, I'm super grateful. I would always say that, you make it possible for us to be able to also create all of the awareness that we're doing. And by extension, we would appreciate, you extend all of these things that we're sharing, add them to your routines, add them to your daily lifestyles, because sometimes people will just learn from you. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for believing in mental health with Asha. We'll keep doing the things that we're doing. We'll keep sharing daily nuggets on our socials. And then, yes, in the events that you're experiencing something and you need to speak to a counselor, feel free to send us an email or send us a DM via our social media platforms. And for the email, it's mentalhealthwithasha@gmail.com. We are here to be of service to you. We're here to provide all the support. It's a safe space, like I've always mentioned. So every suggestion, every contribution, every idea is also welcomed. Probably you have a topic you would love us to talk about. It's very, very okay, and it's very welcomed as well. You can as well just send us an email saying, oh, I think I would really appreciate, you talk around this topic, and then we'll look into it. So with that, I would love to appreciate you, Mr. Abubakar, for sticking with us. Thank you for all your beautiful inputs. I really appreciate you for sticking with us even to the end of this session. And I'm grateful to every single
Thank
one
you.
of us also that were present in today.
Thank you for having me on board. Thank you so much.
So with that, today, we meet next year. Happy New Year in advance. Happy Christmas in advance, everyone. Have fun. Apply all of the things we have been able to share with you during the holidays, and I wish you a happy holiday.
Happy holidays, everyone. See you.